The Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Welcome back to the Bliss Business Podcast series, Scaling with Purpose. These are our short 10-minute podcast episodes where we explore how to embed purpose into every level of your organization. I'm Steven Zakash here with Tulio Siragusa and Ash Mar. Hey, guys.
Let's do it again.
Hey, so today we're diving into purposeful decision-making across teams and exploring how different teams within an organization can make purpose-driven decisions to ensure cohesion and alignment across departments. Let's get started.
Oh, God.
Well, thanks, Steve. So purpose isn't just a leadership concept, okay? It's a decision-making framework. When teams at every level understand and align their choices with the company's purpose, it creates consistency and unity amongst their peers and colleagues. It ensures that no matter the department, whether it's marketing, product development, operations, planning, whatever it is, or even customer service, everyone is pulling in the same direction.
And you know what? If you're an organization that's been sort of trying to figure out how to break down the silos, well, this is an excellent way to do that, because purpose-driven decisions help break down silos, because what they do is they align goals and actions across the teams and across the entire company, making collaboration more effective. It's about creating a shared language and vision that guides every choice, big or small. So let's dive into seeing how this works and why it matters.
Yeah, so Tulio, that's exactly right. So purposeful decision-making ensures consistency, right? So when teams make decisions based on that shared purpose, it creates that cohesive experience for customers, for their employees, and for stakeholders. And it avoids mixed messages or conflicting priorities, that can arise, like you said, Tulio, when teams kind of operate in isolation.
And what's really interesting? It really drives strategic alignment. When decisions are purpose-driven, they naturally align with the organization's long-term mission. And that's super important to remember. This keeps teams focused on what truly matters, even when navigating complex challenges, competing priorities, having to pivot back and forth, left and right. As long as everyone is aligned, those decisions are more so streamlined than abrasive, if that makes sense.
And you know what? If ever you wonder why are some organizations able to operate with so much autonomy, decentralized decision-making, this is one of the reasons they can, because purpose empowers teams to act with autonomy. It's really next level organizations. Decentralized decision-making is key in this whole thing, right? So, but autonomy only works when teams understand the purpose and they use it as a guide. That becomes the boss, so to speak, right? And this reduces the need for constant approval loops, rubber stamps, speeding up decision-making, and also maintaining alignment. What a beautiful thing. And we've seen it in action over and over, that organizations that do this.
Yeah, and it's not just, about that speed too, it's about trust. So when leaders see teams making these purpose-aligned decisions, it builds that trust, and it really reinforces this culture of accountability and empowers teams to innovate and take ownership of their outcomes. So it's, really one of those cohesive building aspects to your business that if you aren't doing it, you really need to focus on, because it helps you run not only smoother, but builds that trust. So let's explore how to implement purposeful decision-making across teams. So there are three key strategies here. So strategy one, so establish purpose-driven decision-making principles. So start by setting clear principles that guide your decision-making. These principles should be simple, memorable, directly connected, of course, to your company's purpose. So for example, you can have customer centricity. So decisions should enhance the customer's experience and align with the company's mission. And then you can have impact over profit. So prioritize decisions that create positive impact, even if they don't offer immediate financial gain. So this gets you thinking more on that long-term thinking versus that short-term thinking that causes a lot of problems. And then transparency and integrity is one of the other principles to really focus on. Ensure that all decisions are honest and consistent with the organization's values.
So these principles create a shared framework for decision making, right? They don't need to come to their boss or their supervisor or here and there to make those. They have the framework. And this helps teams evaluate choices that they have to make on a day-to-day against the company's purpose and values. So this really ensures that decisions are consistent and aligned, even when it's made independently. So I don't need to go tell my boss anymore what I'm doing, because the decision I'm making, I'm running through a framework that is aligned with the goal and the mission. And as long as that is aligned and everyone knows that they can reference their choices that they make based on that North Star, then you're able to, like what Tulio mentioned, just autonomously run teams, efficiently run teams without having to constantly micromanage and look over their shoulder. It's like, no, things are being done because each person involved is aligned with the mission.
And it empowers the employees to make purpose-driven decisions with confidence. In fact, when teams have clear principles, they don't have to second guess themselves. They don't need to seek approval. They can act with purpose and clarity. And this is contributing to, a lot of companies that have disengaged employees. And one of the biggest complaint is just a sense of disempowering, not being able to have autonomy. This solves that in a big way. So, in purpose-driven organization, what's required is collaboration across the teams. It's the only way this works. You have to create a super collaborative environment. And this helps break down silos. It creates cross-functional teams focused on purpose-aligned projects. And this might include things like, for example, purpose-driven project teams from cross-functional groups that tackle challenges or opportunities related to organizational purpose. So actually have like a steering committee that takes this responsibility, and also have purpose alignment meetings where you regularly bring teams together to discuss how their goals and actions align with the purpose. So you want to have intentionality behind being purpose-driven by actually talking about how are we doing, how are we aligning, where can we make improvements. It's not just putting a purpose and just letting things fly. You have to intentionally, continuously bring awareness to this and work through whatever's not aligned along the way, because those things will come up for sure.
And Tulio, wouldn't you agree that this encourages teams to think beyond their immediate goals? That essentially they start thinking bigger picture. From what we talk about all the time, how powerful purpose-driven companies are. I mean, this essentially fosters a culture of collaboration where purpose becomes the common ground that unites and differentiates functions.
Yeah, and I think it increases your agility. So you may have this goal in mind, right? But there could be many different ways to get there, and someone may figure out a faster, better way to do it just because they're not being micromanaged, right? They've got purpose as the goal, and how they get there, it sometimes doesn't matter as long as it hits your purpose. So let's talk about
shackles. It unshackles everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into that a little bit more. So the third strategy here is to empower teams with these purpose-driven decision-making tools. So you want to ensure teams are consistently making decisions based on that purpose. So you got to provide them with some practical tools and frameworks. So these might include, checklists, questions to evaluate decisions such as, does this decision align with our purpose and our values? Or what impact will this have on our community, employees, or our environment? So considering asking that question over and over, no matter what you're doing, and you'll start to build this purpose into your business. So, and then you want purpose-based decision-making models. So frameworks like the impact versus purpose matrix to prioritize decisions based on purpose alignment.
Yeah, and these are tools that are out there. I mean, you can easily find them. So it's not like you have to reinvent, but you could definitely adjust them to meet your needs. And what these tools provide is basically a structured way to think about decisions. Making purpose a tangible and actionable guide is the key here. And this helps teams avoid what's called purpose drift and where decisions slowly stray from the mission over time. This because it can happen. So it's important to have a framework to be able to bring things in consistent alignment around the purpose.
You're absolutely right, Tulio. I mean, essentially, these tools bring consistency. They create consistency amongst their colleagues and team members. Teams across the organizations are using the same language, the same criteria, ensuring a cohesive execution of that purpose.
Yeah, so let's look at like an example. So I think of like Unilever, again, as one of these real world examples. Their purpose is to make sustainable living commonplace, right? So they empower teams across the organization to make decisions that reflect this purpose. So, for example, the product development teams will focus on sustainable sourcing and ethical production. The marketing teams, they're going to align the campaigns with those purpose-driven messages that resonate with their socially conscious consumers. And then you've got supply chain teams. So they're going to prioritize eco-friendly logistics and, look at different ways to reduce carbon emissions and other ways to improve, the supply chain and making sure that they're all aligned with their purpose, not just within the company, but within the whole chain within the company.
Yeah. And Steve, that cross-functional alignment allows companies like Unilever to create consistent brand experience. So every decision from the product ingredients to its advertising, and we talk about the marketing, it really reflects their purpose of sustainability.
And it's reflected, as you said, Stephen, across everything they're doing, not just the internal workings, but also their partners, their vendors, everything outside of their doors. So it's an important thing. It's not just, top down, this initiative. Unilever employees are empowered, their teams are empowered to make purpose-driven decisions autonomously. And they're giving clear principles and metrics that align around their mission. And it's a great example on how to achieve cohesiveness in a purpose-driven operation.
Yeah, so let's recap here real quick. So purpose-driven decision-making across teams ensures cohesion, consistency, strategic alignment. So the key strategies we covered are establish purpose-driven decision-making principles, implement purpose-focused cross-functional collaboration, empower teams with purpose-driven decision-making tools. So purposeful decision-making breaks down the silos, like we mentioned, and builds a culture of trust and accountability, and it empowers teams to act with autonomy while staying aligned with the organization's mission. So in our next episode, we're going to discuss purpose-driven leadership development. So how to cultivate leaders who consistently make purpose-aligned decisions and inspire their teams. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with others on their purpose-driven journey.